So Heather, this is actually something that you're fairly familiar with.
Yes.
The Evil Dead series. You have seen both the old Evil Dead and the new Evil Dead.
Yes, I have all of the trilogy,
Uh
and
huh.
then I have the new Evil Dead. And Cole and I watched the trilogy a few months back, and I
Those movies are
watched
so
the
good.
new one, and I actually liked it, but it was the first one I saw, so that's probably why.
First exposure's a weird thing.
I mean, the new Evil Dead is fine,
It's good. It's not
but
the
it's
same.
it's not nearly as campy as the old Evil
I
Dead.
have a real fucking problem with the tree scene.
Yeah, everybody does. That's messed up.
Well, it's.
I
Go ahead.
I thought I didn't know that I was thinking that I was thinking the wrong thing.
No, you're thinking the right thing.
And Cole is dying in the middle of the scene because of my face. I was sincerely horrified.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
that was the scariest part of the whole movie.
For me, that scene
Yeah.
in the original, it's nowhere near as grotesque as in the new one. In the new one, they go.
They're both pretty bad.
Well, they are both really bad, but
They don't cut away.
well, yeah, and in the new one, they kind of go a little bit deeper.
I'm sure.
No pun intended.
Anyway, I'm sure that'll get
All right,
touched
I need
in
a
this
drink.
video.
Come on.
Are you getting one of the sodas?
No.
Oh.
Get a Dr. Pepper.
Can I have
That's a
one
Dr.
of the,
Pepper.
Can
That's
I
a
have
soda.
One? I was talking about the other ones.
Oh, the orange soda?
Can I have one of the orange sodas?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, is it an earn brew?
We're gonna need
No,
that.
no.
No, it's...
But I let Zach try Iron Brew.
It's pretty good. It's different, but I like it.
He said this is like coffee except it actually tastes good.
I
I'm
actually
sorry,
can't
but
believe that happened.
Nothing beats Doctor Enough.
Thank
You
you
don't
so
know
much.
what's going
You're
on.
the best.
Figure it out.
All right.
All right.
It's
So
good. It's good. It's real
so
good.
now that they've reloaded, and also you're probably noticing the 100,000
I just got scared
subscriber
by his
subscriber
can opening.
thing right
Sorry.
here, which is awesome.
I
Thank you
watched
all
it.
once again for making this a possibility. And also Doug Walker. Where does Doug sit at right now with subscribers? I know he's over 1 million. He passed 1 million before the new year.
Yep.
He's at 1
Nice.
million. Right there.
1 million.
I
1
think you have to click
million.
into it to see.
Well, yeah. Well, just for curiosity's sakes, I'm wondering. I hate that they don't like show like 1.2 million, 1.4
Yeah.
million.
Right?
Oh, one
Well,
million
he's
for
at
49,000.
0. So
Yeah.
maybe it will.
Yeah. So anyway, so Doug Walker has got 1 million subs, which is awesome on YouTube, especially considering how badly YouTube fucked him over in the beginning.
Really?
But
Well.
oh yeah, early
I know
on,
nothing.
a lot of like critics like Doug Walker like fled YouTube because of YouTube's changing policies, and
He survived
they're
the
talking
Great
about doing it
Video
again.
War.
But
good.
they're talking about doing it
Which
again.
one?
But
All of them.
but anyway, old versus new, Evil Dead by the Nostalgia Critic. We've done an old versus new before. We did the Batman.
Yeah, Batman
versus
versus
Dark Knight.
Yeah,
I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, and
this is gonna be good.
oh yeah, and I've seen both Evil Deads. I liked both of them. I think both of them had their strengths in their own ways. I'm interested to see how Doug will break these down because
I am too.
Oh yeah.
because Doug always has really good critiques that I often find myself agreeing with, and there's very few times I have disagreed with him. But I guess we'll just have to see how that plays out.
Usually I feel like he's pretty on point.
I mean, he generally makes a pretty good
He
argument.
made me feel a lot better about Nightmare Before Christmas because
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
everyone I knew was like diehard in love with that movie, and I saw it way late in the game and was like,
yeah,
It's
I don't
okay.
I don't get it.
No,
I'm with
well,
you.
I had to like
had
it.
a cool style, but I was like,
Oh yeah, you were
it's-
sort of in that.
I didn't have a choice
scene.
but to like it.
well yeah, I
I never
liked
even
it.
finished the movie.
I liked it.
Oh, Heather,
I
I'm
watched
so
it all the
sorry.
way through. I thought the music was okay. I thought the designs and the world were just amazing.
Yeah.
Every time we got to Christmas Town, I was just gone.
That's fine. What's this? You've lost
Yeah,
you've
after
lost
that song
interest in
turned
the
off,
movie.
I was just like, okay, well,
Lost
this
interest
is,
in
I'm done
the
with
film.
this.
What's this? What's this?
She's turning off the TV. Oh God, no! Don't do it.
She's scared.
I feel like stop motion is really hard to pull off because there's so much work involved with
Yeah.
what you get.
They should just stop doing that. Anyway.
Not as much as
Oh
they used
no,
to.
I mean, I
Have
like
you-
it. It's just
Have you ever seen the old old Jason and the Argonauts?
Oh God.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
No, I'm talking to her.
Oh,
I sure haven't. I
You,
don't have
you, I know.
That
I've watched it
that-
with you.
That stuff is gold.
I've watched it with you multiple
That stuff
times.
is
It's
gold.
so good.
I mean, Jason never fought a Hydra actually in the mythology. Whatever, I'll let him have it. Sure, that
Those-
thing's guarding a golden fleece.
Those little skeleton dudes.
Yeah.
All right.
I
So
love those little skeleton
Let's
dudes.
go.
everybody's ready?
They're so good.
Yes.
Yes.
Here we go.
Do the thing.
Ready as I'll ever be.
That's weird with surround sound, isn't it?
I'm loving the surround
Woo.
sound, dude.
Ah, Chester A-bomb.
The real adventures of the nostalgia critic.
Yo.
That's pretty much what this is.
As flattered as I am that you would use me as a couples therapist, it is my non-professional
Oh,
opinion
Jesus.
that you
Hyper
should seek
fangirl
an
and-
actual professional.
But you're the only
And
one
devil
crazy
boner.
enough to understand us.
Yeah, and to be fair, we do usually get along better when we take you against your will. Well, I've been kidnapped so many times at this point, there's probably a plumber constantly being told that I'm in another castle. What can I say? We're bound tighter when you're bound tighter.
And I can practice my arts and crafts on your manacles.
Yes, they're lovely, thanks. So let's get to the heart of the argument. Rather not talk about it. Good, I'd rather not hear about it. Key, please.
It's just that we thought that we agreed on every single thing and we found out that there's one major hiccup.
The Evil Dead movies.
Yeah, if I had a nickel for every couple those broke up.
He prefers the remake, even though the original is the cult classic.
It's gooier and more realistic.
It's demons possessing people. How is that more realistic?
I can tell you some things.
The funny thing is, it's kind of amazing we're having this conversation at all. The original Evil Dead, a horror film about a group of people being possessed by spirits, is still considered a cult classic. It puts Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell on the map, led to
Yep.
hugely entertaining sequels, and still stands as one of the most uniquely corny yet somehow badass horror films ever made. So,
It's so
when it was
bad.
announced a
It
remake
is.
was coming out, people reacted how everybody reacts when they hear a remake is coming out. It was betraying what was perfect. Don't fix what's not broken. Something about fucking your mother with a chainsaw. It's the internet. You know somebody said that. Yet when the movie came out, many people were surprisingly open to it. They said it was different enough to be its own thing, yet had just enough callbacks and practical effects to make it a loving send-up. The blood hit the fan, and a lot of people seemed to have a gory good time. Well, most people.
Oh, come on, that never works. I know you can hear me. I know you can hear me. Oh, hey, can you not hear this? Can you not hear that? Oh, can you not hear that? It's so silent. Hey! Oh, you can hear him, but not me, huh? Oh, yeah, just keep going in. Go here.
That's my roof. Stop it.
Hey!
Now, a good therapist will tell you that disagreement is the
I
core of
love that-
compromise,
that
and being
repainted
open to
long
a new
shot.
point of view helps
really
you grow
good.
as a couple. Thankfully, I'm not a good therapist, so I say fight until somebody wins.
Yeah!
So strap yourself in. Whether you have a choice or not, I don't have a choice, do I? Yeah, kind of figured. This is old versus new, The Evil Dead.
Grumpy Malcolm.
What is happening? Oh, that's
Yeah, it's a callback to the original.
Yeah.
The
The
original
one thing to
design.
keep in mind is we're only doing the first Evil Dead movie, not any of the sequels. So put away your phone a chainsaw hand for badass credit points card.
Oh, but this is literally the only time that I could ever use this.
Don't worry, Punches. I'll find other times.
Let's start with story.
Whoa.
Okay,
what you doing,
Mia.
buddy? You crying?
I gotta say the makeup in the new
Oh
one,
yeah.
like, is just nuts.
In many respects, the stories are very similar. Two groups of people go to a cabin in the middle of the woods where they discover the Book of the Dead. They idiotically read it out loud, summoning the evil spirits, and one by one the people are possessed, killed off, or maimed in some sort of beautifully grotesque way.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly, they're so similar. What's even the point?
Well, the remake does have a few additions. In the original, they're just going for a getaway, but in the new one, they're going as a means to get their friend off drugs. Not only does this already start off on an uncomfortable level, but it makes the belief of the supernatural all the more nerve-wracking because they think it's all just part of her withdrawal. On top of that, she and her brother have a mother who went crazy, so both of them have a fear of losing control and not mentally knowing what's going on. the story suddenly has more purpose, as these siblings are not only trying to stop these things, both mentally and physically, but they're also trying to figure out what's real and what's not.
It also starts off as any psychologically challenging film should, violent as hell. The first film, they just arrive at the cabin, but in this one, this chick is knocked out, her dad's gonna burn her alive. For some reason, that eraserhead baby is there, and only as she's fired up does she reveal her roasting bitch face. Then pop goes the evil. That's how you start a gory movie. Blood!
What was the point of all that?
Blood!
But it doesn't tie into anything.
You guys don't mind if I phone for do you?
No, go ahead.
Fine.
Oh.
I know it's technically the people that were there before, but we barely know anything about them. Like, who was that eraserhead baby guy?
Yeah, that was a little weird.
The original starts off simple and unassuming. You have no idea what you're in for. The Book of the Dead is discovered, and you have no idea what it can do, building up the suspense. You also hear more about who these people are, seemingly kind folks who stumble across something awful, which makes it even more uncomfortable building up what's coming. The remake gives away too much too soon.
You think that was pointless? How about getting wood?
Oh, schmookums later.
No, I mean literally the scene of the woman getting wood. What was the point in that?
That is kind of a good point. In the remake, there is a similar scene, but it doesn't show as much detail and is clearly done to show how the character is getting possessed. The original was definitely done to play up the shock value and exploitation vibe, even though, as far as I know, it doesn't really tie into anything.
Oh, come on. Just because the guy who came up with this insisted on vacuum form shirts, naked women in chains, and ended up marrying Xena Warrior Princess, everyone thinks he has an issue or two.
Well, the creators of the first one definitely said they want to make the most shocking horror
Look
film
how
at the
shaking
time.
is Micah.
So I guess a lot of the random gore,
When you
violence,
do
and
that with your
scenes that
foot?
don't really seem to have
Yeah.
much explanation all fall under the rationale
Okay.
of
That's what it
just
was.
trying to get an uncomfortable reaction. Like any horror film, I guess.
But even then, they keep it to just the people in the cabin who attack. Who the hell is this girl at the end of the remake?
Oh, that's the girl in the book, based on the girl in the poster, based on the maybe girl who got shot in the intro. She can survive that, right? But who cares? Look what she does to her! Ha ha!
Yep.
This is mayhem beginning to end!
This ending feels tagged on, making the story feel longer, and it's a happy ending. What the hell?
Oh, I forgot. You don't believe in happy endings.
Oh, puppykin.
You can't puppy kid your way out of this one!
Actually, you're both kind of right. While the ending does drag a bit, it does still give us some good gore and a literal bloodstorm. Yeah, it makes no sense, but I think that's part of the course for these movies. In fact, the majority of the remake has good, fast pacing, usually jumping from one crazy gore fest
Oh,
to
yeah.
another with
Oh,
little time
jeez,
to
yeah.
take a breath.
Nail
Oh.
gun.
The original
Yeah.
is much slower, not only getting to the bloodbath, but also in the breaks it takes. I know this is for mood and character, but let's be honest, that's not what people are exactly here for. They're here to see crazy shit happen. And not only does the remake cut to
Man.
the crazy shit faster,
Jessica
but they
Lucas.
give an additional edge
Girl
with
went
two
crazy.
of the characters not knowing what to believe, giving them little time to regain their senses and look over the situation. While the ending does feel drawn out, the rest of the film moves arguably smoother than the original, which moves much slower but ends exactly where it should end. No, I
the
mean,
Sam
leaving
Raimi.
it open for 2 sequels and a TV series, of course. So, when adding everything up, the story in the remake is better because it adds more of what's needed and takes out more of what's not.
Yeah, baby!
Okay, Christ, how much of my ceiling is still standing?
I don't know.
It's okay, it has a long history of people crashing through and shooting at it.
Yeah, you should really get that looked at.
Little preoccupied at the moment.
Oh, it's like you to gloat.
It's like you to goat!
What?
You heard me!
Yeah, I did, but I didn't get it.
You didn't get it to spite me!
Okay,
Oh,
it's not my intention to anger the man who dresses in guns, so why don't we use the puppets that my therapy book / How to Survive a Hostage Situation recommend?
Yeah, I guess we could do that.
Sure.
You just can't beat the main actor in the original films. It's Bruce Campbell, for God's sakes.
Yeah, but he was barely in it, though!
Why are you using that voice?
I don't know. I just feel like that's how we should talk.
Well, you're not supposed to use a funny voice. You're just supposed to, like, talk.
Well, then why are we using him at all?
Use the puppet!
Why are we using him at all?
You're doing the voice again!
How is that supposed to help?
It's supposed to help you say things that you would never say.
Oh, you mean like the original Evil Dead is better?
I don't like playing dolls with you. Pup!
My mini boner. You destroyed my mini boner. I'll kill you. I'll kill you. Die! Oh my God, I killed her.
You killed her.
I kill puppet you.
You killed Puppet me.
Do we bury her in a shoebox or how's this work?
I
She
need a
wanted to be
puppet,
cremated.
Micah.
Puppet you is very
Puppet.
specific.
Well, she prepared for everything except for you killing her ass.
All right, let me find a fireplace.
Christ, this is best main character!
Okay.
I mean,
Bruce Campbell or Mia?
Bruce Campbell or not Bruce Campbell?
Yeah.
Bruce Campbell.
Okay.
Bruce Campbell, right?
We'll see. We will see.
Now, this is really difficult because while one is a really good actress with a great backstory and wide range, the other is Bruce fucking Campbell.
Yep.
Gets it.
That's
Bruce
exactly what I
Campbell.
said.
Nobody
Yeah.
can dislike anything he does. It's like a commandment.
But there is one major problem. This isn't really the Ash we've all come to know and love. He's not a badass, he's not a line quoter, he's not a larger-than-life screw-up, he's just
That's true.
a guy.
Yeah.
Not even a very interesting guy. When danger comes along, he usually just stands around and does nothing. His name isn't even Ash. It's Ash Lee. What a bizarre naming choice. Is that why in the next one they give one of the women 2 boys' names? It's like calling John Wayne Daisy, or Anne Rice Howard, or Stevie Wonder Steve Land. But what's in a name as long as the character is cool? And honestly, this is not a cool character.
Oh, that,
All of my love for him came out of Army of Darkness, actually.
I mean, yeah, Army of
So-
Darkness is.
Believe he's
But
the
he's kinda
loser.
right.
He's the guy you kind of forget about so that it surprises you when he's the one that survives at the end. Mia is kind of a similar fake out. She's the first one to get possessed, so you naturally think she's going to die. But
Oh,
through
man,
some
all that
very
tomato soup
strange
going to
demonic
waste.
loopholes, she ends up coming back,
Yep.
and the brother gets axed. However, the range she has to go through is amazing. She has to be pissed off but composed, withdrawing, getting possessed, going back and forth between reality and Crazy Town, and then she has to be the fighting hero at the end. In a sense, she kinda plays every role you can play in a horror film. It's like a one-woman gore show.
Plus, she's the greatest combination
if this
of
were the
Golem
Ash
and Cream of
Williams
Worm
from
tongue
Army
ever.
of Darkness or
Oh,
The first
2,
film is
yeah.
just
Definitely.
then
kind of
we'd
the
have
victim.
more of an
He
argument.
does eventually fight back, but not in a way that makes us want to cheer for him. The remake surprisingly has more Ash qualities than the original Ash, despite her not even playing the same character. Don't get me wrong, Ash has got some funny lines and he's entertaining, but in comparing the two, there's just a lot more in both writing and performing with the remake.
But this Ash gives birth to the cowardly badass that we all know and love.
But that's not what's represented here. If there were no other movies and we just had to judge these two on their own, Mia would be the more interesting character.
Kitten Mush, what are you doing?
I don't know. I'm agreeing with him, and yet my hand wants to kill him based on what his outcome's gonna be.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but Mia is the much better character compared to Ashley. Not Ash, Ashley.
I can't help it. I agree with him, but my hand wants to kill him for saying anything bad about Bruce Campbell.
We need him for our counseling.
I don't have control. Ah! Ah! You know what needs to be done.
Oh, God.
Could have cut us.
I'm gonna lop off my Bruce Campbell loving hand.
What? That's crazy!
Maybe. But who's laughing now?
I built that. I built a chainsaw on him once.
I know this seems excessive.
Yeah.
Like I should really just grow up.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was silly.
Point goes to the nude.
That feels dirty.
No, well,
But
honestly,
we can't have a horror film without a lineup of bodies.
Or a rescue.
What the hell?
That's the round
Benny,
thing got
thank
me.
God you got my message. Get me
Right?
out of here, man.
We can do this the easy way or the fun way.
Oh, no, you don't, Agent J. There's no way you're gonna get in the way of our little feud with the Evil Dead movies.
Oh, you're doing the Evil Dead movies. Can I join?
Sure.
Yeah, sit down.
Thanks. I could never make which one I like
Me.
more. You know, I could talk about those movies to death.
Soak
Don't you just
away!
invite people in?
Which part are you at?
Oh, I was talking about the supportive backup that ends up being a lifeless lump on a log or couch.
I do love fiction.
That's fucking supporting cast.
Good.
okay.
Good. Best fucking supporting. That's good.
If I remember
Or best
correctly,
cannon fodder.
Neither of these movies had
Yep.
particularly strong backup characters.
Yeah, the support in both versions is pretty by the numbers. They both clearly exist just to be victims to either be killed off or possessed. When they get possessed, they're a lot of fun, each one with creative ways to look grotesque, gooey, and horrifying. But that still doesn't mean they
Why
have
so
much
serious?
personality before they're taken over.
The closest was probably the brother in the second version because he at least had a concern for his sister's mental health. which ties into the fear of his mental health as well. But we know he's not gonna go crazy.
Yep, just bagging up his sister's head and burying her alive. What? Your brother never did that to you?
There's also a clever trick where just before the blonde dies, the spirit leaves her body, meaning she can go back to normal. This is great for later when the brother has no idea if Mia being buried is the real Mia or not. But aside from that, the supporting cast doesn't offer that much and aren't really very memorable. The original Evil Dead has a huge advantage though. It has a sense of humor. Because it does have a corny way of doing things that's both frightening and kind of funny, the performances can be a little more hammy and not seem out of place.
Yeah.
In a weird way, their sometimes awkward way of saying things helps them stand out more.
Yeah, well, come on, I remember Nailhead and Cutty Face and Asshole Who Read Book Out Loud for no reason. Oh my god, they do kinda suck.
Their performances are fine enough, so they're not distracting, but they're not strong enough to leave an impression. The original's performances are just off enough that you remember them a little more.
Say what you will about Sam Raimi, but there's always something to remember. Except Costner baseball movie number 4.
What was that one called?
I don't remember.
For the love of the game.
So, in
For
a
the love of
strange
the
way,
game, it
the
was a
original's
decent
ability to
film.
be less convincing but more
Yeah, well.
stylized actually works better than the remake, which is more convincing but less interesting.
The newer ones just didn't leave their mark.
Dude, are you kidding? Well, scars are gonna be there forever.
I mean on our memory.
Point goes to the old.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah! You can take your little mini boner and shove it up a butt.
Dude, too soon.
Oh, I'm sorry, Snuggles.
Still getting over that.
I don't ask.
Good call. Good call, Malcolm.
All right.
But
2 to
let's
1
stop wasting
currently.
time and get to some action and violence. Right, Benny?
Yep.
Like, right now?
Uh-huh.
While you're sitting there?
Totally down.
Getting to the reason you came here?
You know it.
Taking out the 2 people sitting next to you?
I'm finding it harder to put a spin on that, but yes.
This is best gore.
Oh, commercial.
Ooh,
Thankfully, we don't have to do worry
that's
about it.
terrifying.
New one.
I will say this: for me personally, the gore from the original is more memorable because
Oh, yeah.
it's Hammer.
Oh, what a
It's Hammer
bloody
horror
mess.
gore.
The gore in these movies are awesome, but it's the best in the new one. It looks more real, more painful, more disgusting.
You're missing the point, though. It's not about how real it looks. It's about how creative and inspired it is, especially on such a low budget.
Right?
Look at that.
The big following, so of course the remake is going to have more money to make it more real.
But give
Yeah.
me credit that in a time where computers do everything, the majority of the gore is done on set.
So, all of the effects of the original were done on set.
Both of these
mean,
movies
they
have
had to
very
be.
creative yet very different ways of doing their gore. The first film focused more on monster makeup, making them look more like demonic creatures. The remake focuses more on the avenues of mutilation. The monster stuff is mainly just contacts.
But look at all the crazy-ass ways they're chopped up. It's like a sculpture of clay that bleeds.
It's kind of hard to see, though, isn't it? There's often flickering lights or too many dark shadows.
Yeah.
What,
Yeah.
there were no less shadows in the first one?
They definitely were, but they were shot in a way where you can make them out better.
Yeah, you can make
Yeah.
out how fake it is.
I can't even.
You can and you have!
I'm Benny.
It's true the film's low budget shows more in the original, but not only is that part of the fun, it also allows us to question the ingenuity. You know if anything went wrong in the remake, they could, and probably did, just digitally alter it. With
Yeah.
the original, what you see is what you get. So there's not only a greater feeling
yeah.
of authenticity, but also a greater appreciation for it. This effect of the animated
Yeah.
scars growing took an hour to animate live on set. And the weight of that time is felt in those few seconds.
Oh, yeah.
To be fair, the remake must have taken a lot of time, too.
It's true, and the efforts show. The effects look a lot more juicy and fleshy. Even the Book of the Dead actually looks like it was bound in human flesh and not burnt bean dip. They're still impressive and go to the extremes for their kills.
But again, the original's low budget is not only impressive for what they did on so little, but it also somehow feels more painful. When somebody gets injured in the remake, it's inventive, but you don't really feel the pain. In the original, even when it looks fake, you feel how much it would have hurt.
Part of that could be because a lot of the actors were getting hurt. They didn't have enough for stunt people, so half the time when someone really got hurt, they just left it in. There was less protection and therefore more risks, and that tension comes through the acting and makeup. If they all look like they only have one shot to fight something off, it's because mostly they did only have one shot.
Yeah.
Sure, the original actors had to go through a pain-in-the-ass shoot too, but compare a tracking shot from the remake to a tracking shot in the original. Branches are hitting the camera, it's shaky, it's getting gunk on it. This is the kind of unprepared feeling that follows you throughout the whole film, which surprisingly works to its advantage.
Yeah,
the other
absolutely.
can look dirty too, but it's also a lot more smooth and less shaky, and you feel a little bit more of the manipulation.
It's just not as Sam Raimi.
In comparison
Well, yeah,
to
it
the
doesn't
original.
feel like...
Add on top of that more variety
Honestly,
in the different
in this
types
you
of
kind of feel like a
blood,
fly on the
scars,
wall with some of
monsters,
the
and
stuff.
techniques, and you
Whereas
have a
in the
competition
original,
that's
whereas in
close,
the
but
remake,
still favoring
no fly on the wall. It's just
Point goes to the old.
you just feel like you're in a camera view.
Yeah.
It's shot beautifully, but still, it's
Oh, yeah.
the feel it has with the film.
That's two that went to not my side. The next one better go to the remake, or everyone's gonna ask what's that bowl of SpaghettiOs that used to be the Nostalgia Critic's face!
Or it can go to the original, so I won't have to surgically remove my foot from the exploded remains of what used to be your testicles.
These are really good chips.
I've had those. They are really good.
Well, seeing how there's no way out of this without a huge amount of pain,
A lot.
A lot amount of pain.
let's just go to the final category. Atmosphere.
Oh, yeah, that's...
The atmosphere itself could actually be considered its own character
Oh, yeah.
with some of the stuff in this.
In a horror film, atmosphere is everything. Whether getting people to scream, laugh, or both, there has to be a unique environment and feel that puts you in a unique mood.
Yes.
Both films have a lot of silence, and both films have a lot of screaming. They both know how to utilize it and when to surprise people with something unexpected. I guess in some respects the remake has the disadvantage because everyone has an idea of what's coming. But it was different enough and so in its own world that when it did follow something from the original,
Oh, the
we almost
doggo.
forgot that, oh yeah, this is a remake. We weren't shouting, where's this scene or where's that line? We instead enjoyed whatever new direction it was trying to take us. But the biggest problem is that the remake is, while very well done, just another horror film. We've seen these kind of characters, scenarios, and even effects done in dozens of other movies. While the setup to the original has certainly been done to death, everything else is uniquely its own. The camera work,
That's
the
definitely
odd pacing,
true.
the weird acting, the strange effects, all of these fall under a genre that you could argue Evil Dead almost created. People were laughing and screaming while watching it, and all the problems that usually work against a movie were working towards making it one of the most unique scary films ever made. The new Evil Dead did its job very well, beyond expectations even. But it's not gonna break any landmarks. It had to be a little safer and more dramatic because it had to show they were taking this remake seriously. There was no way out of that. It could make a reference or two with the chainsaw and such, but it could never wing too hard at the audience because it would feel too gimmicky. Because of this, it was hard for the film to have any sense of humor. The original Evil Dead, of course, has a great sense of humor, sometimes intentional, sometimes not, but it was always present. That's a big part of what made it stand out. It's not the remake's fault for any of these problems. Honestly, I don't know how you could really work around it. It's amazing that they got the product that they did. Something different, but still familiar enough to be a loving homage to a classic. However, that's what it is, an homage to a classic. A classic that can't always be defined, repeated, or even fully understood. It's a rare kind of insanity that stands on its own, where even the bad stuff is good. It holds up in how much it doesn't hold up. It's timeless, yet totally dated. It's shocking, but not in a shocking way. Even to this day, it doesn't always add up. It's just kind of its own entity. And the remake is trying to recapture what honestly can't be fully explained. There's an Evil Dead remake, which is surprisingly good. But there is only one original Evil Dead.
Evil Dead,
and
yeah.
it will stay that way for years and years. Point goes to the old, winning the match.
It didn't have to be this way, Critic.
Troy would have shot some part of you, but it'd be a part that you would survive through. I think.
I have to more think about not changing my plans that much, but nevertheless, you are gonna die.
My one regret is not talking like a pirate on Talk Like a Pirate Day. I should have given that a chance.
That's right. Right here. In your own studio. You parrot, for God's sakes, throat slitter, and trying to kill a guy.
Well, I've never distracted you before.
Well, we've never been in a fight before.
I hate fighting with you, Bubblegum.
I do too, Razorblade, but how we gotta settle our differences?
You know, I do have a brother that specializes in just this sort of thing.
Oh, God.
I see. So me refusing to back down comes from my fear of artichokes.
Mm-hmm.
And my need for attention comes from my past of wrestling polar bears.
Mm-hmm.
By God, it all makes sense! You finally cured us!
Thank you, Bill. You've given us a new chapter in our lives that we'll never forget.
Mm-hmm.
Come, sharpshooter, let's go do stuff.
Together stuff.
Is he still chained up?
Yes. Yes, he is.
I miss food.
Ah, the Sam Raimi! Oh, baby.
I wonder how drunk they had to get in order to get that just right.
It's so cheesy, but I love the Sam Raimi so much. Yep. It's perfect.
Okay. So, we got our answer.
We did.
Unbelievably, even though Bruce Campbell lost his section of the battle, because it is the first Evil Dead, and
Yeah.
Ash was not Ash.
I mean, he's not wrong. Like, it's...
Yeah, like
It's very
Ash
accurate.
Ash really picks up. Like the first movie he's fine,
Oh, yeah.
but then it's the second movie where you're really like, all right, I can get behind this character.
Yeah, because Bruce at that point, I think, was able to fully expand the character. Because
Oh, yeah.
in this one, I feel like it was completely under Sam Raimi's control, in which, from what it was executed from it, became something amazing.
But that allowed the freedom for Bruce Campbell to go, hey, I want to play with this a little bit.
Yeah,
And Sam Raimi's like, yeah,
Okay.
all right, let's do it. And by God,
did we get
something
Yeah.
fantastic.
Indeed, we
One
did.
might even go so far as to say, groovy.
Yes, groovy. I would say that.
I really love those movies.
No, I love them too. As a matter of fact, a lot of Ash's like big catchphrases and stuff like that come from Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
I mean, you think about the first film, like, honestly, you don't even get his double barrel shotgun from the first film because it's a single barrel.
Yep.
And I remember watching the original. I watched the original before I watched Evil Dead 2 on Showtime. It came on Showtime one night. First time I'd ever seen it. Blew me away.
Boy, that's a movie. I tell you what.
Oh, yeah.
So I forgot the whole plot of Evil Dead 2. Like, I don't remember a damn thing. Is it repressed?
Okay. Well, here's the thing. Here's how it goes. Ash and his girl, Linda,
Yeah.
go to the cabin
Yes.
once again, which actually, that's one thing they say. It's that Evil Dead 2 isn't a sequel. It's sort of a retelling or retcon of the original, because the
You're right.
original had so many characters and had all this, whereas in the beginning of Evil Dead 2 we had Ash and we had Linda.
Yep.
And that's it. And then later on you had other characters come in and add to the story, but Bruce Campbell was the primary focus throughout the first half of the film.
It is kind of my understanding that they didn't really have a clear vision of what they were doing, and they weren't expecting to be as well received as like a horror comedy.
Yeah.
So then after the first one, they succeeded. They sort of went back with a clearer picture of what they wanted this thing to look like.
Yeah.
I was, when we opened the video, I said I liked the remake a lot.
Mm-hmm.
This reminded me of I watched the remake. A year later, I watched the trilogy with Cole.
Mm-hmm.
And I had forgot a lot of the remake, to be honest. And as it brought it back, I fucking disagree with myself. I liked the original better.
Yeah, I mean...
That's fine.
The original had such a character of its own.
They're two different movies.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Really, it's not picking one you like better.
Right.
I liked both of them because they were different. But also... I forgot where I was going with this. Never mind. False alarm.
It happens. But yeah, it's one of those things of, Evil Dead, the original.
Yeah.
It established so many things. Well, I keep making the comparison to, like, somebody going and watching Citizen Kane today. It doesn't seem like anything special.
Yeah.
But the reason for that is Citizen Kane added so many things to the filmmaking repertoire that things from Citizen Kane are in every movie now.
Well, they became Hollywood standards.
Right.
I mean,
they became staples.
Yeah. Which Evil Dead treaded a lot of that as well. The first Evil Dead treaded that, especially with the camera work and the makeup effects and all that. The practicality and also the dedication that you have to have. Keep your leg in the exact same spot for an hour whilst they itch on the paint. Just to get it to look right. I mean, that takes dedication. And, you look at the remake, because it's not really a remake per se. More of a retelling.
Yeah, more of a retelling. But so many things from the first Evil Dead had to be, essentially... Those things got reused because they've sort of become standards in a way. It's such the original is such an iconic movie.
Yeah.
That how can you not? So there was really no way that the new one could have won this. It wasn't going to happen.
I was worried when the first two were won by the new one.
Well, Doug made legitimate points onto why he personally felt. Now, people may disagree with Doug.
He was correct.
He was absolutely correct.
I was just worried that the new one was actually going to end up winning.
Well, yeah, and then, he started bringing in the other points. It's like, yeah, no.
He's right.
Yeah.
He was absolutely right on all of it.
I feel the same way too about that. I mean, there'll be people out there who disagree. There'll be people who say, "Yeah, but the camera work in the new film actually made me feel like I was watching a movie instead of the original, which made me feel like it didn't feel like a movie." And that's the point. Yeah,
stop that.
Stop that.
That's not a good one.
No, so what I think is that it's a new experience. I mean, it's an experience that the first time watching, you don't know what to expect. I mean, if you've never seen the first Evil Dead before and you watch it for the first time, you don't know what to expect because you go into it expecting a movie and it's an experience unto itself.
Yes, that's absolutely
it's very
correct.
Unpredictable as well.
Oh, 100%.
You don't see any of that coming.
No.
You sure don't.
No.
And just like, oh hey, all of these practical effects, and they made that movie on a shoestring budget.
Actually, let's see what the budget was. I'm actually on Wikipedia. Let's see what
the budget was practically nothing.
Between
$350,000 to $400,000.
So in terms of a film, even back in the 80s, that is a paltry amount.
Yeah.
That is a very, very small amount.
They did good.
And look,
it was actually filmed not too far from where we are now.
Yeah,
Like hour and a half away.
They call
Where is it?
that section of the forest the Twisted
I
Wood.
live there.
Yeah, yeah. That's the thing. How did you not know that?
No, I did, because you know what? Now that I think about it, the cabin, maybe it wasn't this movie. One of the popular horror movies, Cole's family owned the cabin. I don't think it was this one, because if it was, Cole would make sure everyone knew about it.
Oh yeah, no.
But I think it was, I think it had something to do with, it was, never mind, I don't know. I'll ask.
You need to find that out.
Your Next? Was it Your
No,
Next?
no,
Because it was
no, it
filmed
was
in
an
Tennessee
old
as
one.
well. Oh, okay.
Well, anyway,
Wow.
so
So yeah, the Twisted Woods
Holy
in Morristown,
crap.
Tennessee.
yeah,
We'll have to go there one time and just like explore.
Are you fucking crazy?
Why?
yes,
There- it's
yes,
not-
we
it's not- it's not
are.
actually
Let's go.
haunted.
We
They
can
just
wear the GoPros and we can let you guys. It'll be just as shaky as the original,
Jacob is gonna want to go because Jacob
and I can just meet you guys there.
Jacob is like dead set on wanting to do ghost hunting.
Jacob.
it's just where they
is
film the movie. There aren't
crazy.
actual ghosts there that I'm
That's
aware
I
of.
know.
That's why I changed
but-
my mind. I was like, wait.
No, there aren't. There. It's just. It's a film set that has a lot of like big historical value behind
I
it.
Yeah.
would love to be proven wrong though, but my friend apparently had some sort of premonition in a dream about some place, and then he ended up looking it up, and the town didn't exist anymore. But like it was in fact a town, like in Texas or something, where
That's
there's a
crazy.
huge, like a bunch of people died or something. It's very weird.
Well, there was one.
So woke up to a giant text about
Well,
this.
there was one town I believe is in Wyoming. I forget what year it was, but I think it was like in the early 1900s. All of a sudden, for some reason, the town sheriff left that day.
Mm-hmm.
He left that day with I think 2 or 3 of his deputies to go fetch a state official so that an investigation could be launched in this town because certain things were happening and people were like disappearing. The sheriff comes back 2 days later, and the town is abandoned. Like there's nothing there. The town had I think it was like 100 people in it. And this isn't like people packed their shit up and left.
Like everything was still there. They were just gone.
Yeah, everything was still there. They got there, and one of the houses was actually burning one of the houses actually burned down because someone had left their food on.
Wow.
That's
Apparently,
Really weird.
No, I know, and it's very strange when you think about that. I mean,
Aliens.
well, that's one thing people have said. It's just like it was the aliens. They came in and they took them. That is why.
Seriously, where the fuck they go though? Like,
Man, I would love to get abducted by aliens.
are you,
Mothership Zeta is such a great DLC. I would
Dude,
go
right?
bananas on those little weirdos.
So-
it breaks Tale of Two Wastelands almost.
Oh, it breaks Fallout 3 just about.
Oh Jesus!
Like that DLC is so buggy. But so, have you ever heard of the town of Centralia, Pennsylvania?
Is that the one with the mine that?
The mine
Zach
fire.
told me
The
about
coal
that one.
mine
That
that is
was
still burning
on-
to
Oh,
this
yeah.
day.
One of the videos we watched.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
gas is still burning down there.
There is a gigantic fire underground because the entire town is built in like around and over a coal mine.
Kind of sounds like Doom.
Yeah, it lit on fire. The
It's
town is
literally
now
hell.
abandoned.
It lives above hell.
Yeah, it's like that was actually a huge inspiration for Silent Hill.
Yeah, and yeah, actually, they actually tied that in the first film, which was awesome. I'm glad they
So-
did that too.
this
Yep.
is probably a stupid question, but why the fuck aren't they putting it out?
They can't.
Why though?
Think about all the coal that's down there. There is so much fuel, and those mines are so convoluted. As soon as you moved forward to try to put it out, it would just loop back around on itself.
Well,
There's no point in trying to
That's
put it out
terrifying.
because the resources required would be ridiculous.
It's possible.
well,
but would just
it
be
is.
too much.
Well, there's
bother.
also not there. It also requires that you have to deprive it of air. If you
Yeah.
deprive it of air, the fire will die. But
But
there are
that's-
too many places that are open for them to really cover.
And because of the destruction, new air inlets are opening all the time.
Yes.
Like the town is practically abandoned. it's about as abandoned as Chernobyl is.
Yeah, there's a few people
There are
who
still
live like
some
on
people
the
who are-
outskirts, outside of the burning area,
Yeah.
like up on a hillside or something.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
Which
They have some balls.
well, they've lived there all their lives.
and why should they leave? I mean, they're
And
not
there's-
in any danger. They're
There's
not in-
actually like provisions set
It was
in place
Silence of
for
the
them.
Lambs. Cole's family owns
I'm
the house.
sorry. What?
Which house?
Silence of the Lambs, the house it was filmed in. Cole's family owned
Wait,
it.
the Buffalo
was-
Bill house or the?
I haven't seen the movie.
Okay, Heather,
Yeah.
I need you to text that to Carly. I need you to tell Carly that because we will be able to hear her screams from here.
Yeah.
I don't have her. I'll message her on Facebook though.
Do that,
Good,
please,
good.
because she
But,
will
yeah,
lose
fun fact
her
about Cole's family.
mind.
Also, I bought Cole a T-shirt for I think it was just hey, this was on Amazon and I thought you would like it, so I bought this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Ash with his double barrel shotgun that says, "This is my boomstick."
Yes,
It's an orange
I
shirt. I
wish-
think
that's
he wore it here
such a
before.
good
I
shirt.
wonder if they were freaked out by the stuff that Buffalo Bill did in that house.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know.
You know the Goodbye Horses scene, like Goodbye Horses.
Let's. She has no idea what you're
I'm
talking
gonna
about, dude.
ask if they kept the house or if they had bought the house from them.
Oh.
That's awesome.
Well, so
Horses.
we've learned things here on with the Renegades today, and because I don't really necessarily know what to call this show anymore, because whatever.
Oh wait, I had one more thing to say.
Okay.
Is it just me? I'm gonna be alone on this probably, but should the remake not have even been called The Evil Dead?
Oh, it was just called Evil Dead.
Right, but shouldn't it have been? I feel like it was more inspired by.
Well, honestly, it was Sam Raimi who produced it, so
Yeah.
he gave the sign off on it.
It's a very similar plot.
It is a very similar plot, yes, but I think it's a retelling. And actually, Sam Raimi was so happy with the outcome of the new Evil Dead that he actually wants to combine
No
the
context.
storylines.
Well, so there was mention of that ever since Ash vs. Evil Dead has come out. There's been no talk of any sequels whatsoever.
Well, of
I
course,
actually read
well
that part.
up until Ash vs. Evil Dead ends, which I think they said they at least had a 5 season planned run out of it.
Yeah.
They're on season 3. Season 3 is about to start up here soon.
He doesn't know what happened to the house.
Aw.
I don't know if they like moved back into it when it was over or what. Like, no idea.
Oh Lord.
I assumed that the film set bought the house from. It was on his mom's side of the family.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm assuming they bought the house from them to do the movie instead of just being
Okay.
like, okay, you can move back in now. Like,
Well, actually, there's a lot of
I mean, they could have just rented it, yeah.
there's a lot of people who option the houses up for rent for and lease it out for an extended period of time, and it
That's
actually becomes
true.
a tax write-off.
Yeah.
Actually becomes a tax write-off, and and the film studio not only pays you for that, but you write it off because the property is
Right.
being leased out for movie production.
I don't know. Maybe we could just search
Yeah.
about the house in Silence of the Lambs and figure it out that way.
Yeah. Well, I know.
I'm
I know
pretty
we
sure-
can't go to the Amityville house because that fucker burned down.
Carly
I
Carly
wouldn't
will
go
be
there.
able to tell you because she really likes the the Hannibal Lecter series of
I own
films
the movie, I
and
just haven't
books.
watched it.
So
I didn't like Hannibal Rising. All of the other ones were.
yeah,
were
she
pretty
also doesn't like Hannibal
I
Rising.
actually have to say
but-
this. I know this video needs to stop, but this is really important. The first time I met Cole's mom, she invited me over for dinner that night.
Mm-hmm.
I guess she didn't really know much about me or anything. All she had to go on was my appearance, which was emo high school kid.
Uh-huh.
And
Yep.
so the first thing she tells me about herself is this about the Silence of the Lambs.
And you went.
And she goes, I just thought that was a really cool fact that you might like. I'm like, yeah. Thanks.
Well, you
That's
had
terrifying.
Okay, my dad was very specific about the Silence of the Lambs with me. He watched it when it first came out in theaters, and I didn't get to watch it until I was almost a teenager. And my dad and my mom were actually my dad and my mom. This was right before they got divorced. Were both in the room with me when we watched it, so that they could, if I was confused on something, in terms of the sexual nature of the stuff that happens in it, then they could explain it to me. But I understood everything that was going on because, hey, If there's one thing you learn about in modern day high schools and public education, it's random factoids about stupid shit, especially when it comes to everyone yelling at you and calling you a faggot and everything. And
it was really cute and wholesome though. Like she was trying to relate to me, and I love it.
Well, yeah. I mean, she put forth the effort for it, and
right.
that's what
it was
counts.
really cute. Cute,
well.
telling me that what was filmed there, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
She was doing her best to make me feel welcome and like talk to me about something I actually cared about.
Yeah.
Which was cool.
Mm-hmm.
I respect that. So yeah, Silence of the Lambs. I need to watch it. I literally have the DVD.
Yeah. It's a good watch.
Yeah,
it's a good watch.
Be prepared though, because
I don't know if it's something I can handle watching by myself since I live alone.
It's really something.
Yeah,
let me tell you.
If you want to watch it with,
get anxious.
Well, I wouldn't suggest watching it with Cole because Cole would probably laugh at a lot of the stuff that happens in it because Cole's a savage.
He laughs through almost every horror movie.
Yeah, because Cole's a savage.
But that would probably be fine.
Well, I'd say get Wyndham because Wyndham she'd probably.
Or I mean,
we could watch it.
Or yeah, we could.
Carly's always up for watching
the
movie again.
Someone needs to come hang out with me in Morris Place.
Morris Place?
Morris Place!
Morris Place.
They already know. I already said I live there.
Morris Place, 10 Sarcana.
I literally already said that I live there. They can Google it, whatever, Morristown.
And on that bombshell, it's time to end. Thank you very much for watching. Good night!
Bye-bye.